I have a lot of favorite topics. I have a lot of things that I love to talk about when it comes to intuition and life path and spirituality. One of them is what we're going to go into today, which is the process of coming down here to earth. What happens? Why am I on the path that I'm on? And how can I change that? What can I change? What can I change? What is free will? What is deja vu? If these are things that have popped in your head and you thought, yeah, I would like a real solid kind of explanation around these things, then I'm here for you. This is what we're going to talk about today. If you're new to the channel, this is going to be kind of a fun one for you. We're going to go over deja vu. We're going to go over free will. We're going to go over lifetimes. And in general, we're going to go over what happens when we come down here. What's the structure? What does it look like? So let's not waste time. Let's jump in. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I know, I say that about a lot of things, but I'm really passionate about teaching and I really love the work I do. Backstory, super quick. If you've heard it, my apologies. I'll try to make it really, really quick. 20 years ago, I was a complete skeptic. My grandmother passed away, showed up in my living room, and it was an experience that changed my life. Here I am today, 20 years into being a professional intuitive, teaching people all over the globe how to hone their intuition. Loving it. I've been teaching the SAGE method for years, well over 15 years. And I gather in groups monthly with Sage Circle members, and we raise our vibration through sacred space meditations every new moon, every full moon. My job is the best. And I say this because this is what you're hearing out of me, is my excitement to share ideas. Because when we open up to the possibilities that are out there, then our intuition starts to expand. When we are limited with what we think is possible, then we're limiting the space that our intuition can really speak through. And when you open up intuitively, your life gets a little bit easier. Perfect? No, because I'm a bit of a realist too. You should know that about me if you're new to the channel. Oh, and if you're new, do the clickety things, the buttons, the click and subscribe. For me, it will help me just to grow the channel so we can help raise even more of the vibe. Because I don't know if you've looked around lately, but there's a lot of spiritual awakening happening as of current. But here we go. When it comes to my teaching skills as well, one of the things that not to brag, but that I'm good at and I love is to teach in analogies and teach in concepts of form so we can grasp what's happening. One of the most difficult things about spirituality and intuition is that it's so fluid and there's nothing really solid. And especially today, because we're going to be talking about the other side today, which there is nothing solid about the other side. So when I describe how we come down here, what that transfer looks like, I'm giving it in terms of something solid, but it's not. So it's just a way to describe it, to understand the process and the intent behind our journey here. So let's jump in. The way that I explain the higher self, because that's where all this is going to come from. The way that I explain our higher self is that your higher self is like a ball of light on the other side. Think of it as like a big ball of light, beautiful ball of light too. You're awesome. So on the other side, you're a ball of light. The other higher selves around you that would be considered, the ones closest to you would be considered your soul group, are other balls of light. So on the other side, you have all these balls of light, all these beings, conscious beings that are higher selves. And the closer two are to each other, the more that they're soulmates. And in between each of these balls of light is like a spider web. And it connects us all because we're all connected. So think of the other side as an infinite number of higher selves, all connected by a multidimensional spider web that is made up of a material that we call unconditional love. That's the form that I like to give people about the other side because it explains so much to the moms out there. If you knew that something happened to your kid, but you were nowhere near your kid, that means that your child, one of your soulmates who's closest to you on the other side, something happened and it shook the spider web and you felt that spider web shake. Now, somebody you don't know lives on the other side of the world. You're never going to meet them. You're never going to interact with them. Something happens to them. they're so far away from you on this spider web on the other side that when their ball of light shakes, you're not going to feel it. This is how we're connected. This is how we're connected energetically. Okay, moving forward, we're going to talk about lifetimes because I want to get into deja vu today, and I want to get into past lives just a little, and I want to get into free will, mostly free will and deja vu. When we come down to earth, we take a little piece of light, like a little ball of light out of the bigger ball of light, like a little speck of light. And we throw that light down into a body on earth, and it's born, runs around, has a lifetime. When it's all done, I don't know, 110 years old, kicking, loving it, and the body dies, that speck of light returns back to the other side and reconnects with the higher self. So this is where it gets complicated. So I'm going to get real complicated, and then I'm going to go back to simply talking about one lifetime at a time. Okay? When we are on the other side, we are not in linear time. When we come down to earth, we are putting ourselves into linear time. This means that from the perspective of your higher self, that lifetime that you sent down there to have happened in an instant. It didn't happen in 110 years, not to the higher self. It did to the little speck of light that came down into a body. That body anchors you into linear time on this particular planet. You can be on a lot of different planets, and there's a lot of different timelines. Linear time down here, we got 7 days a week, and we have minutes and hours, right? There are a whole bunch of other possibilities out there. But back to the higher self. This means that the higher self, when it has a lifetime, it happens in an instant. This means that multiple lives also are not linear. It's not as if we come down, have a lifetime, we pass, we come back up to the other side, and then we go back down again. And I know that it's a fantastic teaching, and it's a great way to explain that we reincarnate and that we have many, many different lives. But what I want to expand to is if the higher self doesn't have linear time, that means all of our lives are actually happening at the same time. It's not that we don't have multiple lives. It's not that past life regression doesn't work. It's that past life regression isn't necessarily going into this current timeline past. It means it's simply tapping into another lifetime. This is why past life regressionists have experienced people going into lifetimes that are in the future. And it feels a little confusing. But the truth is, your higher self said, I'm going to have 200 lives. I know that's really limited, but I'm giving you form, giving you example here. I'm going to have 200 lives. And it takes out 200 little specks of light, throws it into 200 bodies. They all have their lifetimes, and then they come back instantly. It's quite magical if you think about it. And when we come down here, like I said, the body anchors us into linear time. We are given the ability to experience the things that we are passionate about, interested in, love, the things that link to our personality in such a way that we can't experience on the other side. This is why many times you'll hear me say, we're not down here to learn, we're down here to have experiences. It's because the higher self, not on linear time, but maybe loves, the idea of plants and grass and earth, right? So your higher self loves plants and earth and grass and dirt and all that good stuff, anything green outside. And so you love that process. You love the essence of that natural sense of being. It's not until you come down here into linear time and you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday that you can take that passion and turn it into gardening, where you can plant the seed, where you can tend to the garden, where you can wait for the harvest, where you can experience the joy and the success of what you grew or what didn't grow. It's the experiences of what your higher self loves through the lens of linear time that gives your higher self those delicious moments. And that's really what we're looking for. And yes, the same is true for the good and the bad. I totally acknowledge that. We're not down here to have all good. We're down here to have good and bad, because in that comparison, then we truly find deeper joy in gardening. Now, let's get to deja vu. When we come down here, we plan the overall path. And I say what I'm saying when I say that, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that, Bo? I mean, we plan the overall reason why we're coming down here. Perhaps our blueprint, which is what I like to call it, is to come down here and help children. Or perhaps our blueprint is to come down here and design or create. Or perhaps our blueprint is to come down here and bring new music into the world. We all have a general blueprint of why we're coming down here. You're sitting here listening to me living out my blueprint hardcore. This is why I came down here. Did I know that when I was 31? No, but 32, I started on the path and here I am. When we are setting this up, we know that we want to get to a certain point. We want to get to a certain destination. So before we ever come down here, there are going to be pinpoints in our timeline that we're going to pre-plan. They're like markers that are going to make sure that we get to that end point, that main reason we're here. And this is where deja vu comes in. So before we come down, we have this plan and we say, okay, I'm going to, at the age of 32, open up spiritually. And then I'm going to take everything that I know and everything that I've learned, I'm going to apply it. I'm going to open up intuitively. And then eventually I'm going to be teaching people how to hone their intuition, because the next thing you know, age of Aquarius comes around and everybody's opening up and I'm excited. And my job is to just help you raise your vibration. Here we go. That's my blueprint. Before I came down here, I'm going to make sure that I have markers in my timeline of exact locations and exact situations that I absolutely have to keep me on path. So when I walk into that coffee shop and I see a woman sitting there and her dog's sitting on the bench next to her and she's sipping her coffee and she's looking outside and she has the most happy, peaceful look on her face. And I know I've been here before. And I say, I'm experiencing deja vu. And deja vu is strong. It's like, whoa, I feel like I just repeated something, because you did. You set up that exact moment and made sure it was going to happen before you came down here. So when we're down here and we walk through that moment, we're like, dude, that was wild. And it was kind of wild, but it was preset by you. This is what deja vu is. Deja vu is a good sign. It's a sign that you are on track, that you have hit that point. There's points. I always use video games as an example. In video games, you hit a certain point in the video game where even if you move forward and make a mistake, you're gonna, regenerate back to that point. You hit the marker where you're never going back from that marker. You're gonna keep going forward no matter what. That's what these markers are. That's what we set up for ourselves. And deja vu is magical and interesting and exciting. And I want you to think about it for a second in this way. It's all of those things because you are living out a moment that you pre-created in whole, in theory, and in reality for you to walk through. It's like a gift you gave yourself. I think that's magical. So when you have deja vu, stop and say, I just saw my checkpoint. I just walked through my checkpoint. I'm on path. I'm on path. That's the best way that I can find to describe deja vu. When I first started talking to my spirit guide years ago about deja vu, and he was explaining it to me, it was great. It was like he showed me on the other side, and there was a big long table, and there was paintings on blank canvases on the table. And he said, you're going to have 6 moments of checkpoints of deja vu. But these checkpoints are important because they're going to make sure you get to your end goal that you're setting up for this lifetime. And he had me go up to each of these canvases and paint them. And I painted the coffee shop with the woman smiling and her dog sitting next to her. And I created that before I ever came down. So when I experienced what I created, I touched a depth of magic that I think is one of the most spectacular things down here. I think deja vu is underrated. It really is quite powerful, really is. And I also wanted to talk about, speaking of blueprint and why we came down here, I want to talk about free will for a moment. And yes, we have it, because a lot of people will say, hey, Bo, do we have free will? I mean, if we set all this up before we come down here, like, do we have any say in what we're going to do? And the answer is kind of yes and kind of no. I know. Great answer, Bo. Here we go. I'll explain it like this. When we create this blueprint, this structure of what our main goals are when we come down here, it's like a blueprint of a house. It has the walls, it has the rooms, it has, the structure, how tall the house is, how wide the house is. These things are very much like the town you're born in, the parents you have, the culture that you're born into. That's your blueprint. And the blueprint says, my end goal is this. So let's take my life, for example, again. If my blueprint says my end goal is to teach people how to open up their intuition and walk through their spiritual awakening and raise the vibration collectively, if that's my blueprint, then in that blueprint, I'm going to be born in Minnesota. I'm going to be raised by my mother. Yes, not all of our blueprint pieces are the best. And it's just a light joke, I know, but some of the blueprint structure is there to challenge you and to push you in ways that are sometimes uncomfortable, because that's necessary for you to get to where you need to get to. But the biggest point about this blueprint is it's not all filled in. The blueprint of a house is exactly that. It's the structure of the house. But it's not until you move into that house that you pick the wallpaper, the couch that you're putting into it, that you pick the pots and pans that you put in the kitchen. That's how I would define free will. We don't have free will on the structure that we chose, the blueprint that we chose. We don't have free will on the culture that we were born into, where we were born, etc., because that was pre-chosen. But we have free will on what we do with it and how we navigate it. I'll give you an example. If your blueprint is to come down here and help children, then you have the free will as to how that's going to happen. Are you going to be a teacher? Are you going to be a nurse? Are you going to be a parent? Are you going to be a foster parent? You get to choose how this blueprint is going to be filled in. That's what free will is, kind of in the most nutshell I can put it in. But now I'm going to expand and go a little bit deeper. This is where we get into the possibilities piece. When it comes to the question of do we have free will, and I say kind of yes, kind of no, I just described the kind of yes, which is you're not necessarily coming down here to choose every single detail in your one lifetime. You will fill those details in when you're here. Those little details that you fill in on the how you do something, or which restaurant you go to, or of course, unless it's deja vu, then you have to go to that one particular restaurant just to have your checkpoint checked off. But all those little things are free will. Now, this is where we go deeper. When you come down here and have a lifetime, every possibility of that blueprint is already created. I'll use the helping children example, because I think that that's going to be the easiest way to explain this. When you come down here, the path where you become a teacher in your blueprint is already set up. The path in which you become a parent of a bunch of children or a foster parent is already set up. The path in which you come down here to be a nurse in a children's ward is already set up. All of the possible options of how you could live out this blueprint are already set up. So free will then in that case isn't necessarily you creating your path. It's you jumping from path to path to path to stay on the path that you want to be on. It's you choosing, oh, I'm going to step over here to this one where I'm going to be a pediatric nurse and I'm going to help kids in the children's ward or something along those lines. The path you choose, in essence, then, is your free will. but free will isn't necessarily in every single moment. It's more choosing the path than it is choosing the color of the couch that you're putting into the house, because every couch that you could possibly ever put into that house already exists. So free will is really navigating which path you stay on more than it is creating it. And I'm going to end on this one because I know this question probably just came up. If it didn't, you'll be like, yeah, that makes sense that this question would come up. The question then follows, well, then what am I doing manifesting? What's the point? When you are manifesting, we first start by saying you're bringing into your world what you want, or you are like attracts like, or what you think about, you bring about. So you're bringing it to you. That's the beginning teachings of manifesting. But if you were to go deeper and see that every single possible path was already created, then manifesting is just you deciding consciously which path you want to be on, and the universe working around you to make sure you can be on that particular path. So I'll end with this. Keep asking for what you want in life. Know that free will is a human word for manifesting and navigating the path that you wish to be walking. When we can grasp that concept and understand it, life becomes less of a shopping market where you're ordering stuff, and it becomes more of a really beautiful dance where you're navigating the experiences that you came down here to have because your higher self wants them so badly. Okay, well, there's some stuff to chew on for you this week. I love you. You're awesome. Choose your path, decide what you want, keep manifesting, cherish the deja vu moments you have, and I will see you next week.
This podcast is brought to you by the SAGE Method, the most comprehensive and down-to-earth intuitive development training available. Is this your year? Is it finally your time to increase your intuition, bring in more abundance, and experience the bliss you deserve? If yes, then join thousands of students across the world for a 7-week journey to uncover your natural, beautiful, and strong intuition. Visit us at thesagemethod.com for more information.